Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome to Deen Duty, Stories of Civic Service. I'm your host, Kareem Elsayed. This is a project of the Bay Area Muslim Council, and I'm delighted to be joined by none other than Marwan Naggar, who is the founder, lead of the MCA Civic Engagement Committee.
Team member.
Team member. You're being humble. What is your story of civic service?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for having me, first and foremost. I think the story is similar to many that I've heard over the past couple of years. It's October 2023. Pretty average, everyday tech guy, goes to work, back, masjid, here and there, that's all. And then the war in Gaza starts, and you can't sleep, and you're just like, you feel like you have to do something, but you can't figure out what to do. And then a couple of weeks in, I'm like, okay, I have to try something. So I'll just like go to the masjid, go to MCA, and just attend whatever activities there is. Like let me try to find something, and then have the intention that, okay, I need to find what I can do and try to help. And then literally the first event I attend was an event hosted by CARE, and I think they had I forgot who was the speaker, but basically it was talking about what's happening in Gaza. And at that time, the MCA board has decided they want to start a Civic Engagement Committee. And they had a sign-up sheet. So I was like, okay, like, it's that easy. I just need to go out and it just happens.
Nice.
So I sign up. I have no idea what I'm doing. They call in a meeting. They get it, like the whole thing through the board, approved and structured. And then we start with the first meeting, we have a group of 13 members who just signed up. Some have some experience, some has none. Myself was one of those, was like, I'm here to learn. I have no idea what we are doing, but let's try to figure out how we can help. And then that was the beginning of it. And what it took to continue to work, and I think the most important thing is, regardless of if you know what you're doing or not, if you think it's working or not, you just show up. You just have to show up. You just carve some time out of your schedule, your day, your life. And then this time is meant for the community responsibility, and just show up. And just by showing up, you see doors open. Just have the intention, show up, try to do your best, and that's it. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to wait until you're an expert in something. You don't have to wait until you learn how to do it. You don't have to get a degree. You just go there, and then you see so many inspiration, so many avenues to try, and many things wouldn't work. But the nice thing about it is that, alhamdulillah, in our deen, we're not judged by the results. We're only judged by our effort and our intention, and that's all. And it's like a guaranteed like ROI. Like, it's definitely gonna work if you have the right intention, and you go try to do it. Do what you can. Do your best. Try to keep iterating. That's it. So this is kind of like the main motivations. A lot of inspiration along the way from so many people in the community. A lot of examples of people that I was just like, I would be. Okay,
well, real quick before we move on to examples, I mean, that's what happened for you. You showed up, and
Yes.
then Allah opened a door.
Yes.
And literally
100%.
a sign-up sheet.
100%. 100%.
Red carpet for how to get involved.
The very first day, I did try to go like find CARE website, find volunteer like form and fill it, MCA and other group. Like, I did like a bunch of those while sitting, and then I was just like, okay, this is not working. And then I was just like, let me just go.
Yeah.
And then literally on the first day that just happened. And I think I find this to be a pattern. It's not like just my story. Like if you talk to many others,
Yeah.
they didn't really figure it out before they get it done. They didn't know what to do. It's just, you put the intention and you put the effort, and subhanAllah, it pops up.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, wow, this is like a good gem just in the beginning here, is to take action, especially when you don't know.
Yes, 100%.
You don't have perfect knowledge of how to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
And this remained the theme of like my personal like involvement. I'm like learning as I go and picking up and trying things that maybe work, maybe not.
Yeah.
But just the main thing is to don't stop doing it, because this is, in a way, it is just part of why we're here. Like why we, like part of our life, part of our existence in this earth is to be a muslih, or like a bringing of goodness. So it's not gonna, it definitely gonna come by like taking care of your family and your responsibilities and your health and your like all your other responsibilities. But this is just one of the pillars, your duty towards your community and your like even the ummah overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like how it came about.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep
No.
going. You were going to say some examples that you've seen.
Yeah, definitely a lot of like a lot of exposure that I got from the very first. Like I remember the very like first vigil for Gaza that I went to, and hearing just people popping up and speaking from Sister Fatin and others who lost many lives, many of their families. Like I would feel sad because I see stories on the internet, but then I hear people that have actually had losses, like they had losses themselves. They have loved ones they lost. They have immediate family. I have friends who have parents and cousins and uncles in Gaza, and they're still like showing up, doing the activities or the activism work that they need to do, and they're doing their jobs, and they're going to the masjid and being good Muslims, and it's like have really no like reason to complain. And then you think of the actual people in Gaza, or people that are oppressed like in so many places right now, and it's like every time you're feeling down, you have to just remember that, and okay, I have to continue pushing. Like you can't just slack and sit back and say it's not my problem, because in fact it is everyone's problem.
So what I notice in so far in your story, and we're just starting here, is your motivation to do something. And I mean, tell us a little bit about your shift, right? Because it sounds like after October 7th, that's really when you like really took it seriously and started to get more involved. What were things like before? I mean, was it just like a sense of guilt that's driving you, or what shifted for you to motivate you this way?
I think in big part, like I've always had this feeling that I need to be doing something aside from just the monetary chasing life. So you get this itching feeling that like, why are we here? But it just get lost in the busyness of life, and you think of like things go out of perspective. You get kind of shoved into work, career. Like I want to achieve this. I want to get there. I want to travel there. I want to like all of these things. And then this was like a shift where you realize everything is in the hands of Allah. Like really realize that. And it can all disappear in a second. And it is not the way, like the way of you thank Allah for the gifts and the blessings that you're getting is not by just like enjoying it and just like completely like be selfish, or I don't, not like just distracted about like your real purpose. And in a way, this was too shocking to just live business as usual.
Yeah.
It's, you realize it, no, it's not. And this was a huge distraction that I was in. And I hope I continue to put things in the right perspective. So you get like upset because you, I don't know, scratched like your car, or got into like a small accident, or missed that trip, or couldn't be in a family gathering. And then you realize, oh, wow, now the perspective is very different. Yeah. These are things to be maybe sad about a little bit, but you just realize this is not that big of a deal.
Right.
And then that was I think the big part of it. It's a wake up call a little bit.
Yeah.
And
so your perspective shifted.
Yes.
And you put things into perspective. You showed up. You had a good intention. Then what? I mean, you joined the committee. Tell us about how it got started, maybe some of the early activities.
Yes. So the beginning, it started on October 30th on 2023, and
So right after, basically.
right after that was like
Wow.
real, and I really and I think our masajid don't get like we hear a lot of like negative like feedback on how we operate and sometimes like how slow things are, and I think there are a lot of good things that are happening, and like different leadership and different styles, like the challenges are different, but basically it was very quick for the MCA board to spin up this committee and group and basically task it to help us figure out how to handle this. That was the main mission. And as many of the members were just like getting to figure out how to react to that, the first thing that we wanted to do is establish engagement with local officials and figure out, can we get them, can we hear from them, and can we get them to issue statements in calling out like a ceasefire, stopping the war, reassuring people locally here how to react to this, and basically dial down the hate and the narrative of the like division within the community. And it was getting a ceasefire resolution out. That was the beginning of the efforts, and it was not something that we pioneered. It was something that we've seen happening in different cities, and it was like, okay, maybe this is something we should try to do. And over the following 2 months, from getting meetings with every like Santa Clara City council members, to sometimes it was hard to get like to get these meetings, so we navigate through. We organized the Vigil for Gaza in front of the city council building on a work day. We had city council members join us. And that kind of like sparked the conversation in the council that this is happening, this is affecting people here locally, and we don't agree to have our tax dollars fund these endless wars.
Yeah.
And it was a back and forth into trying to figure out how to get something done within the city council, which was really hard. It was 2 to 3 months of meetings, talking, and at the end of the day, we couldn't get it passed.
Yeah.
And that was the first strike to me that we have very limited access to power or decision making, and we're not really seen as serious community, as engaged as we should be. And that was part of like why we have to do more. So let's figure out how to build, how to make a shift in the community, how to gauge more community education, how to get us to a place where we can actually get something done, even at the scale of the local government. Like, because if we can't do this, then it's just like impossible to get it at a higher scale. Like, we have to start here. So this is kind of like the beginning of it. And I mean, the story is long, but this was like the
first one.
and then a series of like different initiatives and projects stemming up from that, from like school boards, maybe a little bit on the county side, some small engagement with like other efforts with like Congress members or other public officials, engaging with Muslim people in office or candidates. So trying to figure out, learn about the space, and then we establish it as we want to be a group that is like itself engaged properly, so we understand what's happening outside, and then we need to educate the community inwards, and we need to talk, like, be representatives of the community positions outwards to public officials. And finally, we need to have a way to mobilize people, to get them to, so we need to find the right actions that we want people to do, or we hope that would help the community, and then narrow that down to like one or two things that this is what we need to do here. So register to vote, reach out to your representative, talk to them about this thing, raise this issue, talk about that, mobilize campaign to get someone picked up by ICE to be released. Many are like coordinated efforts with other groups and organizations, and we learn a lot from CARE efforts, MLFA, and other groups that are just more have been in the space for a longer time to just figure out what to do, and then we adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I want to actually rewind to what you said earlier, because that first ceasefire effort, I remember it. I remember, talking to you about that and showing up to the meeting and the devastation I think that the community felt afterward, that
Yes.
after all that work, we didn't, it didn't win. But it's interesting what you said, that you took that as motivation to do more. And
Yes.
I think, someone else maybe might say, oh, it didn't work. Okay, close up shop. I'm done. They might give up, but you took that as even more motivation to like really master and understand this space and learn about this space and engage with others who have experience in the space and use that to further the ambitions and goals of the group.
Yes. I think this is probably coming from a deeper understanding that anything you try to do in life, you're likely not going to get it done in the first or a second or a third time. Like, this is by just trying to do things, you realize that your first time is always a failure. The second time is probably as bad. And then as you evolve, this is how you get better at things, especially if you're going into something that you don't have experience in. It was just a litmus test of how much power we have. I think we kind of have this understanding that there is democracy in this country, and we misunderstand democracy or confuse it with justice and confuse it with other terms that it doesn't come for free. Democracy just means that you can talk and you can weigh in, but if your opinion is not incorporated or not listened to, then it's just out there. So it's not necessarily just for everyone. It's not necessarily, we've seen in history, it's not, like the US is still like, doesn't have a good track record of like being just, especially with minorities and other groups. So you see this as, you start realizing that democracy is just a tool, but if you're not good at using it, it's almost as if it's not there for you.
Yeah.
Others could use it maybe a lot better. And that becomes part of it, like how we can make this better, how we can iterate over that. And then I always forget that, and I always try to remind myself is it did not really not work. It actually did work.
Oh, how's
because I'm assuming that every single person who took part in that with the intention has gotten the reward. Like, the reward is there.
Inshallah, yes.
So that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because like if we just like die, then it's all gone. Like, even if it worked or not, like after a number of years, nothing is gonna matter except that who actually went to heaven and who didn't. So in a way, it's definitively have worked. And in the second part, it has worked as in we couldn't have been where we are right now if it weren't for that.
Right. Yeah.
So it did it's a step on the way. As long as the direction, the heading is right, then every step works. And even when sometimes the heading is wrong, as long as you can realize it, adjust, and just continue to move, then you wouldn't realize that without taking the steps. So you wouldn't have known that you are on the wrong track or heading without having taken some steps. So it is just the path. It's gonna be wavy, it's gonna be ups and downs, but it is the path. So the progress is the path, and you just walk it.
Okay, so I want to go back to what you were saying earlier, that there are three things that you've done as a committee. Let's go through each of them and let's see what you've learned, what's working, what's not. Like, give us a flavor of boots on the ground. What is life like when you try to do these things? So maybe let's start with internally, understanding the needs of the community, outreach to the community, getting people, and maybe you can combine this with the mobilization part. How do you
Yeah.
get Muslims who, for the most part, many of us, like what you described earlier, we're praying and fasting, going to the masjid and, having a good time. But like, are we really active? Are we really trying to change things? So how do you understand the needs of the community and get them mobilized?
It is. I think this is probably the $1,000,000 question. I wish I have a very good answer, but I can tell you what has shown to be a little bit promising. Over the past 2 years, I spent a lot of time tabling, a lot of time talking to just everyday masjid members. I've walked around like doing surveys on like a tablet in the prayer hall and just like asking people to answer questions and gauge like what they're interested in, or even like, are they registered to vote or not? Are they interested in voting or not? And you get people to approach the tables and talk to us, and many people on the team also been part of that. I think I've personally spoken to at least 400 to 500 like individuals on the topic in the masjid, specifically mobilizing people to be more engaged and vote and register to vote, and maybe know just know who's your representative. And I've found that the one-on-one conversations, while being the hardest to scale, is the most effective way. And I think there's a change in the ecosystem right now, because there are so many of these groups that are trying to do, like, they're being active and trying to do things. So many different organizations, lots of WhatsApp groups, and lots of, like, people get bombarded with a lot of messages and a lot of initiatives. And in a way, this dilutes down each one of them. And hopefully in the future, we'll find a better way to organize that. But when you get a quality 10-minute, 15-minute conversation with someone, that's the most effective way I've seen to make them like consider it, just open their minds. And it usually takes 1 or 2 or 3 conversations. Finding the reference in the Deen of why this is actually like founded in the Deen, why we're كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر, as part of like part of the reason why we are the best of nations, is that we like commend ourselves or others to do good and like refrain from bad. And in this and in like speaking up for injustices, and being a good Muslim is being a good community member. Finding those and getting people to understand that we're not really, because many of us are migrants here, and many of us think of this as just, I'm just gonna be here for a few years and then I'm traveling back, but no one is traveling back. And even if you are traveling back, you still, while you're here, you might need to do your part while being here. So touching up on those, I think it's just, it is there in many like people, like in many minds, in many conscience, but the conversation is just bringing it up and putting it on the surface. And after some time, you find people actually shifting a little bit. And that what I found was most effective, and also bringing like a really good inspirational speaker.
And tried and true.
And food.
Yes. Feed them, entertain them with the speaker, and touch their hearts.
I think
the
these
reminders.
I think these kind of like it's just like it's a good, like, when you have this good vibe, this good atmosphere, people are more receptive.
Yeah.
And I think this also helps a little bit.
So did you do like outreach events? Like you did
We
like
have
dinners?
We
or-
tend to do like so with the community, we tend to do like a lot of keynote speaker events. With public officials, we do a little bit of outreach, but then we try to be, I think in the past things were a little easier. But now we have to draw like solid lines between who are we engaging with or who are we hosting, especially if someone has not been good to our community or has been racist against our community. We have to be very careful not to like engaging has to be very different. We used to be like very nice, invite everyone, host everyone, and just like say thank you and salam alaikum, and that's it. If someone shows up in the masjid and say salam alaikum, then you're good, vote for him. But that's no longer the case. We have to really respect ourselves by drawing about a boundary of what we accept and what we don't accept. And this has been part of it. So with public officials, a lot of in-person meetings, you'd be surprised that you can actually go and request a meeting and you can get a meeting. And that's part of like why the system help. If you want to get engaged, you can actually get to places. But then education within the community is where we do a lot of these series of like large events and then smaller workshops. Like we did media workshops to teach people how to tell stories, how to talk to the media or public.
And people are showing up for this?
We did. We had like I think 30 people show up to like a.
So that's solid.
Yeah, and it was like a multiple series of like bringing professionals to host the series, tell people how to speak in public, how to write a story, how to talk to a public official, how to talk in the 2-minute council meeting and get cut off. Some of those things are specialized. We try to do this work stream of specialized events. We try to also, another thing that we found very effective is you can't just tell people to get mobilized or be active. You have to tell them what to do. And then you need to try to equip them with either the tools to do it or the guidance, the expert guidance. So when we bring a lawyer that does a Know Your Rights session, help you know what you can or cannot do, and when we bring a lawyer to talk to parents in public schools about their rights, their kids' rights, how to speak up for their kids and what's happening in their schools, you do get a lot more engagement than you would otherwise. It's still not at the place we hope it is, but I think we're definitely on an improvement path.
Yeah. Is it because you've been doing so many of these, do you think, or why is it improving?
I think we're getting a lot of help, and it is sad but true, because the war is not over, and there's a lot of desperation, and things are happening. Like yesterday, the shooting in San Diego. It is happening. It is touching communities right away, and people know that they need to do something about it. They can't just.
It's not a joke anymore.
Yeah, it's not. It's not just overseas. It is here as well. Yeah. And it is using our money. It's taking away healthcare. It's taking away like food stamps. It's taking away like.
Yeah, it's very tangible.
So it is. I think the more. Unfortunately, the more that disasters are happening, and I heard one scholar, and I'm really lousy with names, so pardon me for that, but he was saying in a Jummah khutbah, it was for people who are upset or are like, they're like, why is this still going on? And his thoughts were, we're in an exam and we're doing horribly, and we wish that the exam ends, but if it ends, then we fail. Like maybe there is part of this that Allah is allowing us more time to wake up, allowing more time for more people to wake up. So instead of waiting for the victory or the end of the disasters, don't worry about that part of the results. Just worry about where you are when it ends. Like, were you part of the solution, or were you just waiting it out?
Yeah.
And it kind of like also touched my heart a little bit.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And you know, I found similar in our community. Unfortunately, is that we're really motivated by pain, really respond well to pain, and pain
Yeah.
is a communication device. You know, a communication medium that Allah has created for us. Whether it's pain in your body, you know, your tooth hurts, your stomach aches, headache, whatever, or in the Ummah, you know, and we feel
Yes.
that as if we're one body. And sometimes the pain needs to get worse and worse and worse and worse before you go to the dentist and you check out that tooth and figure out what's going on, right? So I can definitely see, unfortunately, that we do respond to that. But what I admire about what you all are doing is you're trying to be proactive about it, and you're also channeling the pain or the struggle that people are feeling into proactive action and giving them a pathway to do that. So we talked a little bit about that side of it, getting the community involved. Let's talk now about some of the initiatives to maybe impact change out there in the community, whether it's with officials or you mentioned schools, and maybe you can tell us some of the wins and struggles on that side.
Yes. A bunch of tracks. Let me. Okay. So, sorry, one sec. Okay. So to start, I think I'll try to start from what's more recent or what's happening right now. And the key thing is that we're on a pivotal election year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the past 2 years, 3 years now ish, has been a disaster, and the upcoming two could be even way worse, depending on how the results of the election look like. So, big part of what we're trying to do right now is mobilizing people to register to vote and actually vote.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come to MCA, you'll find tabling at every Jummah. We're trying to make it even more. We're starting a book club. I'm not gonna give away all the details because it's not announced yet. But basically,
Check out the newsletter.
yes, check out the newsletter. Inshallah, in the summer, that talks about activism in Islam and trying to mobilize people
wow.
to where is the scholarly or the prophetic, what is the prophetic way of being active in your community. And the main goal is I know that in California we do have relatively higher number of Muslim turnout to vote compared to other states, but I don't think there is a reason not to get to 80% or 90% of Muslims who are eligible to vote to go and register to vote and actually vote. So that's a big part of the hope. In 2024, we had one of the largest voter registration sprints in MCA's history. We have partnered with CARE California, to mobilize people to vote using their platform,
Mm-hmm.
and they have called it as that's the most we had people at MCA register to vote. It's not purely just Civic Engagement Committee, because, as I said, we're getting a huge help just because what is happening. We're just putting the tools in front of people.
Why was it so successful, do you think?
I think, and this is something I think I learned from just corporate work. It's just you have to be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
It beats being good. It beats being intelligent. It beats being right.
Yeah.
If you're consistent, if you're disciplined. We had for 2024, between November-ish or toward December, all the way to the primary, for 3 months, we had tabled for voter registration at the masjid at least once a week, if not more. Spans from the entire Jummah prayers, and then also sometimes after Isha, we had announcement every single. I think I attended many of those, and I would recognize people by face. Okay, I know you've registered. I'm not going to talk to you again. I know this is the 10th time I spoken to you. So this was I think
Mashallah.
big part of it. I think is just And this is a testament. And I want people to, if someone can come out with anything from like this friendly conversation, is just show up, just be there. Even if you do nothing, just be there. Bring your computer and or your phone or your snack, your coffee, and just be there.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. So from that mobilization, and especially like you're saying this year, it's super critical. Have you seen any outcomes, any wins that you want to share of, maybe working with an official and getting them to change their mind about something, or
I think we have as some of the highlights, and I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to share names just to be careful.
sure.
I had on one of those meetings with public officials on the ceasefire resolution, on one of the ones that has passed. I remember I happened to be part of a conversation with like one of the public officials on the district, and in the early conversations, we're being shut down or not really getting a meeting. And when we got a meeting, it was very cold, very short. Fast forward 2, 3, 4 months in, multiple meetings where the thing was discussed in the like public meeting, and that person has changed heart. And it was like, you always like, you don't know if it's real, if it's pressure, what's going on. And then there's this thing that I kind of hang on. This is another thing that I tend to do, and I think it does really help. When I attend something, I just tend to stay, like leave late, like just
okay.
hang out for longer. And on that meeting, the meeting started at like 3 p.m. and I was one of the last people to leave the hall, and it was 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
And that person was there, and he stayed after that
Wow.
meeting. And as he was walking towards his car, I just wanted to say thank you, because like he moved like big time from being like shutting us down to actually advocating for us. And as I was approaching him, I realized that he's crying. He was walking in the parking lot, like tearing up.
No way.
And I was confused. I didn't know what's going on. And he said that I didn't realize there's that much hate in the world.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, and I'm confused. And he just left. And it was like, it does really work. Like it's not just like, I mean, the resolution and those things are in a way like symbolic. It's hard to like cause an actual change by having it. But this is kind of like a real change that was led by a lot of people trying to talk to him and explain things to him, and you realize it does work. Like subhanAllah, if you think about the time of the Prophet, some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were actually like fought the Prophet at some point and killed companions at some point, and you never know. Like, so that was like also a moment, and it's not the only moment. I think there were multiple of those moments that happened at different scales. This one stuck with me because of how emotional it was towards the end. But it was definitely one of the highlights. So sometimes you just get these hints that just keep going. It's working.
So that's really beautiful that you were able to touch his heart and open his eyes, really. I'm wondering, and maybe we can do this as a lightning round, of what is your proudest moment in your couple of years working with the Civic Engagement Committee at MCA?
I think one of the proudest moments was, I think it was Sister Zahra calling out, Sister Zahra Bilou from CARE calling out that MCA had like one of the most successful voter registration rounds in 2024. That was like in the past 10 or 15 years of mobilization. So that was because I was like through the work, I couldn't tell like how good this is going. Although I believe it wasn't that good, but it was just compared to what we had. And this is
The bar is low. Is that
the
what you're
bar
saying?
was a little lower than we
Come
hope
on.
it is. But alhamdulillah,
Still,
I think
that's pretty good. Yeah.
that was definitely a proud moment. And another really happy moment was the release of Brother Sami Hamdi. Although that was not entirely like that was definitely like not our work.
Yeah.
We did some mobilization at MCA for him, but the realization that the pressure, the advocacy can work was these were two of the like brightest moments. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. How about biggest struggles?
Yeah.
Toughest moments?
Yes, toughest is always you realize that changing people's minds, changing opinions, is really hard, especially when it's from the community, from within. That's the biggest struggle when you try to do your best at the work and definitely not doing like definitely we can do better, but it's just you wish it goes faster. You wish you're able to achieve more sooner. But then it is just a struggle and you have to go through it. I mean, I apologize for calling this a struggle, but
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a struggle. But how do you endure? What keeps you going?
I just open social media. I just watch what's
see,
happening. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I just watch. Honestly, it is terrifying that we would be all judged, kind of, because Allah is just. So we're all going to be graded based on how tough the test we got is,
Yeah.
and we got it really easy. So it's like we need to do a lot more to compensate for that.
Yeah.
And that's part of like where it's hard to get an excuse to
Yeah.
not continue.
Yeah. That in and of itself it's a kind of hard test.
It
That
is.
You have to notice that the test is there in the first place.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So as we kind of wrap up this conversation, what do you advise after, all these years of experience doing this? What do you advise someone who's just starting out, or maybe their masjid doesn't even have a board that's deciding to create a committee like this? How can they get started? What's the first steps? What do you think?
I think there is, and maybe this is like a cultural thing, but even as we started, although the masjid the board has intended to have this committee and empower it, there was a lot of like skepticism at the beginning. And I believe this is basically the challenge that everyone would have. We have this culture of boards and leadership at the masajid specifically being very protective of the institutions that
course, yeah.
they have, like they're leading, and there's a huge responsibility, and I totally understand that. And I think what made the change was you need to show up, and you need to show up that you're a responsible person. And over time, it actually works. Like people start believing that you are actually going to walk the walk, you're going to do the work, you're going to show up. Start doing it's similar to how you think of it as your dream job. You go there, you don't necessarily do everything you want to do. You try to do what helps. And then people start seeing that you're a reliable person. And I think this is the biggest concern that people in the masajid or in the leadership would see in people who are trying to volunteer, because it's hard for people to be consistent. I know everyone is busy.
Yeah.
So just prove yourself. And then you will see people happily just delegating things to you. In many cases, maybe it's not everywhere, but definitely it does happen. You just need to first show up. Definitely try to plug yourself into some of the work that is happening as much as you can, because we're better when we're building together. Find like-minded people and integrate with them. But just think of this as you're not going to show up and then the next week things are fixed and you're leading this big,
Yeah.
huge initiative.
Takes
Just
time.
do what needs to be done. And then over time, you'll get more space to do what you want to do. Hopefully, you know what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Second to last question. What is your vision for civic engagement, Muslim civic engagement in the Bay Area in the near future?
I really hope that we get to a place where the weight of what the community priorities are and what the community opinion or take on just the key society issues that we're living through is weighed in appropriately in the Bay Area, like in where we live. So, and ideally this replicates in different communities. But when the city is trying to decide how to spend the budget, or when a governor is trying to decide how to like pass a law to change how buildings are built or how communities or organizations are being managed, the opinion and the ability for us to do life as we want to do it is protected and incorporated. So we have a seat at the table, and we have an opinion actually considered and incorporated. It is going to be a long road, but I think it is definitely started. And then ideally, I wish to see, as we grow, that we become more of not a single voice, but a coherent message. So different masajid, different organizations could have different voices, different names, different initiatives and work. But I hope that we're in a place where the message is more coherent and it does represent the masses of the community.
Inshallah, that would
Inshallah.
be beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Now, the last question, we ask all of our guests this, but in a few words, how would you describe your deen and duty? What does it mean for you to live out your deen and duty?
I think it means it is evolving to be part of the responsibility or the actual goal or reason for existing and being on this earth until we move to the second or like the next life. So as one realizes what resources we've been given, what blessings we've been given, and understand that these are all tools and not destinations, not goals. The goal is ideally to fulfill our duty. We're getting all these tools, we use them, utilize them as best as we can, and we, of course, thank Allah for them, for having them, and hope we get to keep them, but also hope for mercy of Allah to grant us Jannah at the end of the day. And then just realizing that this is maybe the missing piece, the missing puzzle piece of like, why are we here? What are we doing? And it's not just like we pray and we fast, and this is definitely a big part of it, but another part is to actually be a good presence in the community and on the world that we're in.
Yeah, love that. Comes back to perspective.
100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Marwan. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for coming on the show.
Of course, Jazakallah khair, and thank you very much for having me, and really appreciate it.